So there's a Digimon MMO. I don't know how this didn't come to my attention sooner. Digimon, short for Digital Monsters, was never aired quite as frequently as Yu-Gi-Oh!, Dragon Ball, or Pokemon, but it still made up an important part of my childhood cartoon ventures. Digimon always fascinated me. Certain items from shows always had a pull over me, whether it was the Yu-Gi-Oh! Dual Disc, the Pokeball, or in this case, the Digivice. I was always enamored with these objects, which is probably why they ended up selling so well. But here we are in 2024. The last time I really heard about Digimon, I must have been 10 years old, and apparently there's now an MMO. The more I delve into these lesser known and discreet MMOs, the more I'm surprised at just the sheer amount of IPs that actually exist. Digimon Masters Online is a free-to-play tab-target ability-based MMO that was released in October of 2009, and it's still running. This isn't a private server or a fan recreation, this is the original game, seemingly still turning a profit on its somewhat meager player base by, well, excessive pay-to-win mechanics and microtransactions. But I'm curious, how does a Digimon MMO work? What does it look like 13 years after its release? How pay-to-win actually is it? And will it be an experience worth checking out in 2024? But really quick, before we get into the Digiworld, I wanted to quickly remind everyone that channel memberships are active, and if you want to show support to my channel, this is a cheap and easy way to do so. However, a subscription, a like, and a comment, those help me out plenty. Also, if you guys are further interested in joining a growing MMO community, please check out our Discord linked in the description. Now, back to it. So, Digimon Masters took about 20 minutes to update, and the launcher looked hilariously old school. But as you can see, we've had updates as recently as just a few weeks ago. Granted, it's just server maintenance, but that's more than most MMOs released in 2009 offer. Eventually, the update finished and I started the game. This small pop-up in the corner of my computer let me know that I was probably giving kernel-level access to my future hackers. But no amount of paranoia was going to stop me from getting my hands on the Digimon MMO. So I logged into the game and was asked to set up a second password. We've had one, yes, but what about second password? Anyways, after I was told to choose between two different servers, so I picked the crowded server and made my way into character creation. Now, this might look like an interface that allows you to customize your character and how you appear, but you would be wrong. These 4 presets on the side are not actually presets for your appearance, but these are actually your class options. In DMO, there is no further customization. You can't change your character's appearance at all from these 4 options. The other grayed out options are different classes that you can play, but they all cost money to unlock. Oh, and this also means that every class is not only gender, but entirely appearance locked. You can take a look at what they might look like in different outfits on the side, but those are just examples of what you can look like if you actually acquire that gear later on in the game. So I continued looking through the options and settled on the first character, Marcus Damon. Afterwards, you're then asked to customize your first Digimon. This is basically like choosing your starter Pokemon. You can choose between Agumon, Lalamon, Gaomon, and Falcomon, and you can also click through all of their later evolutions to see what they might look like as you progress through the game. I'm not gonna lie, some of these look pretty badass. I didn't realize how hardcore Digimon actually was. I decided to roll with Agumon as he is one of, if not the most recognizable Digimon to ever exist. And then I realized I had to come up with a name for my newly selected Agumon. I thought long and hard about what sort of name would be fitting of this fearsome little dino who would one day evolve to be a T-Rex with a gun. And eventually I found the perfect descriptor. Meet Rick. And with that, I pressed create, was met with a loading screen, dropped into the game, and shown some controls. I guess this is a tutorial of sorts, as this didn't really look like the open world I was promised. And also, I have a giant level 140 Omegamon with 99,999,999 HP. When I clicked X on the controls, however, I was met with this cutscene. Okay, so WASD to move, as well as left click. I'm kinda confused about what's really happening right now, so I clicked on the main boss and he turned into a chess piece. What is happening? I then got closer to the chess piece and Omegamon went after him, which initiated yet another cutscene, in which my Omegamon utterly destroyed that chess piece. Okay, after that completely nonsensical intro or tutorial, I'm not really sure, and after another quick loading screen which gave me a tip on how to have a better experience while spending my real-life cash on this game, I was finally dropped into Yokohama Village. It appears to be a modern-looking city, and here we are, Waydot and Rick, the unstoppable Digimon duo. Immediately, I noticed that moving around was accompanied with a squeaky sort of cheese curd audio that was completely destroying my ears. And not a moment later, another player actually appeared beside me. Overmight sounds like an English name, so I said, hey. But Overmight didn't really seem like he wanted to chat, so afterwards I found the sound options and lowered the sound effects, just so my footsteps didn't sound like someone was crunching styrofoam directly into my ear. And afterwards, I decided to explore a bit of the interface. There's some menu options in the bottom right, and the first button I clicked, the event button, seemingly doesn't work. However, clicking the giant megaphone in the top right of the screen actually does bring up the event info page. Okay, I clicked on the button beside the megaphone, which told me that this function could not be used during the tutorial. So apparently I am actually still in the tutorial. The character sheet looks pretty standard. You can look at your Digivice, skills, and titles, which brings up an achievements interface. Okay, cool. The inventory looks exactly as you'd expect. You have some open spots, but the rest is locked, which already implies that you can spend money on inventory space. Great. To be fair though, a few moments later when I tried to open the cash shop, the game also doesn't allow you to do this during the tutorial, so props where props are due. Anyway, I finally decided to talk with Mickey here, who is a DATS member, and the first thing she says to me is either an attempt at a southern accent. That reminds me... Okay, ignore that. More likely it's a typo. DMO is chock full of typos, run-on sentences, walls of text that ultimately say a lot, but make no sense. Afterwards, I thought she called me the wrong name by referring to Pawn Chessmon B, but apparently that's actually just an NPC which spawned right beside me in order to further progress with my quest. At this point, I kid you not, a 20-foot-tall Digimon Angel spawned beside me and quickly flew off in the distance. Okay. Then another new player joined me in Overmight. I once again tried to engage here with Carecat, but similarly, no response. Anyway, I tried to make my way through this confusing first quest and tutorial. The game wants to teach me how to scan items. Apparently, when you get a new item, you have to first scan it to find out what it is. I'm still not entirely sure because as far as I could tell, besides from this item in the tutorial, I never actually came across this mechanic or an item that needed to be scanned again. Next, I was told to learn about crafting items, so naturally a giant egg with feet spawned exactly where Pawn Chessmon B had just been a few seconds ago. Apparently this is crafting. You click on an item and click create. With no real explanation for how I got that item, why I wanted to craft it, or even how to access this interface again later, I was now more confused for having seen this. Next, I received a new player care package, of course, which includes wings. And Rick let me know that I've obtained a quality item. He doesn't mention what level of quality, just that it is indeed quality. So I tried to equip the wings in my inventory, and as it turns out, they can't be equipped during the tutorial. Afterwards, you're taught how to hatch Digimon eggs. Basically, you put the egg in the Digi-Egg hatching device, and you press the load data input button 3 times. Or up to 5 times. I'm still in the tutorial, but I'm assuming later on this has a chance to fail, breaking the egg you're trying to hatch. So after my Digimon was ready to hatch, I pressed hatch, and I had to pick another name. This time I went with Steve, before seemingly taking a hero dose of some sort of psychedelic plant, and wow, that's Steve. I love how they ask you to name the Digimon before you actually see what it looks like. The evolutions are pretty awesome though. So I set the new Digimon as my partner. I'll probably switch back to Rick sometime soon, but I figured Steve could hang out for a moment. Anyway, I talked to Mickey again, and you wouldn't know it because the game doesn't actually tell you, but this is the end of the tutorial, when all these other NPCs spawn around you and you can now travel farther into the game. I was told to talk to Mary, who was down the street a bit, and this is the first time I saw actual NPCs that I could fight. So first off, I handed in a quest to Mickey, which rewarded me with a generous 2,800 experience, which actually took Steve to level 4 and my trainer, or me, to level 2. Nice. However, when I accepted the next quest, I was pretty amazed to see that I would receive 855,000 experience upon completion. I mean, if a meager 2,000 experience got me a full level and my Digimon 4 levels, what would 425 times that amount of experience grant me? I found my experience bar underneath my character where it said I only needed 437 experience to get to level 3. Okay, so I accepted the quest, which was to defeat 7 different Digimon, 5 of these Elecmons in front of me, who were apparently level 17, which is 13 levels higher than my Digimon. But this is literally the first quest of the game. It can't be too difficult, right? And honestly, for just being level 4, Steve put in some absolute work, hardly taking any damage. And at this point, I'm certain that levels have absolutely no meaning in this game. I can't think of a single other MMO where in your first quest you have to fight enemies that are 4 times your level. and also being able to defeat them quite easily. But since Steve was level 4, I wondered how Rick could handle this challenge, so I switched over to Rick. Apparently, you can have a few Digimon at a time. There's 4 free slots and 2 more for purchase. Rick literally two-shot the level 17 Digimon. Okay. After defeating a couple of Lekmons, Rick got to level 2, and after, I wanted to find the Garurumon, which my quest also told me I needed to defeat. I ran around a bit, and unfortunately the draw distance in terms of NPCs is not very far at all, so you have to really be quite close to actually see the NPCs. But I finally found them. These guys were level 18, but they looked much more challenging than the Lekmon I was fighting prior. The game randomly showed me a pop-up with the word suspicious singer incorrectly spelled. But I couldn't really waste any time focusing on that as Rick was in for the battle of a lifetime, which he also basically two-shot. Rick is the perfect example of why you should never judge a book by its cover. While fighting the last enemy for the quest, Rick got to level 3, and I was finally ready to hand in the quest and get close to, apparently, 1 million experience. So I promptly handed in the quest, and I kid you not, Rick is level 26, and I am level 13. Now, interestingly enough, when I hovered over my experience, it said I only needed 20,000 more to level up. So the math really ain't math. But also, Rick then evolved into his second form, the T-Rex. And at this point, I couldn't help but just laugh at the absurdity taking place before me. This has been a truly unique experience so far. Oh wait, Rick wasn't even done evolving. He is now into his third form, which, like I mentioned earlier, is some sort of T-Rex, but this time he has a gun. Okay, listen, I participated in a pre-tutorial tutorial with cutscenes that made no sense. I then participated in an actual tutorial which told me how to do 3 things that I still don't understand how to do. I then participated in combat against things way higher level than me or my Digimon in order to receive an amount of experience that doesn't seem to add up with the actual experience required to level, only for me and my Digimon to gain a combined 34 levels from a single quest, and my little dino Rick turned into a T-Rex with a gun. Bear in mind, I've been playing this game for less than 15 minutes. And all of this to realize that my next quest is going to give me, yes, you're reading that right, 7.6 million experience. Surely, to complete a quest like this is going to require an immense effort. Surely I'm going to need to take down a raid boss, save the world, fish a dry fish, walk on water. But no, just take 7 steps down the street to Mickey, who I once again, kid you not, took Rick all the way to level 40, and doubled my level. I was now 26. The next quest was once again that suspicious singer typo and would only give me 855,000 experience, which at this point felt like a slap in the face, if I'm being completely honest. This quest was a bit more challenging than the one that gave me 7.6 million XP, as I had to actually interact with something in the game. I bought a cold water in order to bring it to the suspicious singer, who apparently had a sore throat. And completing that quest got me and Rick another level each, which once again kind of felt like a slap in the face at this point. The next quest for only 855,000 experience again had me defeating some Digimon in the area. At this point, I was still a little unsure how to actually evolve my Digimon during combat. But these mobs were level 33, and now that Rick was level 41, he was still making very easy work of everything he came across, even stuck in his small dino form. That's when I realized, however, that there are some small evolution buttons on top of my action bar. And using my character's energy, it seems I could evolve Rick. Now that Rick was once again a T-Rex with a gun, he could one-shot everything. Awesome. Anyway, what you're seeing here is actually the majority of the questing experience in DMO. It's a fairly repetitive system where you basically get kill X quests where you'll be one-shotting everything you come across with varying amounts of experience rewards. Afterwards, I accepted another quest which would grant me again 7.6 million XP. This one told me to talk to Yushima, who is located near the data center. So I brought up the world map for the first time, which showed me quite clearly where I needed to go, but also I now had some bright green arrows pointing me in the right direction. Perfect. You can really tell how the developers really wanted to avoid the new player feeling confused. Oh, I then realized I had a 4th evolution available to Rick, so I evolved him into Bahamut. Bahamut from Wish. One 7.6 million XP reward later, Rick was now level 45 and I was level 32. I accepted a new quest for 4.5 million XP and made my way into the data center, which unbeknownst to me is, I guess, a sort of player hub. As I loaded in, so did tons of other players with ridiculously large Digimon, which made me feel like my little Rick wasn't quite as big as he seemed, despite his rapid rate of evolution. As I made my way forward into this area, an absolute wall of text appeared, as there were tiny little robots all around offering exchange. I'm assuming these are all player-owned shops or stores where you can buy items from other players. In certain games, you can leave these while you go offline for a certain period of time. I'll be honest, I was absolutely floored at the amount of people that were apparently legitimately playing and enjoying this game. You know, I delve into these strange and often dead games all the time as sort of an expose and a quick dive into these lesser-known MMOs. But I'm always really interested in the people who actually play some of these games and apparently take them quite seriously, especially when objectively so many better MMO options exist. But at the same time, I can sympathize with finding a game you really enjoy. Anyway, I handed in the quest, got a few more levels, and then received a quest which would only give me 5,000 experience, but also one that would give me 2.5 million. And then I was told to make my way to the digital world for 4.2 million. I kinda thought I was already in the digital world because I was fighting random Digimon in the streets just a few moments ago. After accepting the quest, I was then immediately teleported to the digital world. I was placed in a zone called Silver Lake, and I was directed to talk to Rick's younger cousin, who told me to take care of some of the Sunumon in the area. They were level 43, and at this point I was completely convinced that the Digimon's appearance has literally nothing to do with their level, power, difficulty, etc. These guys look like what I should have been fighting in the tutorial. Not giant magical wolves, but instead these cute little bouncing guys. The sense of power balance within this game is completely out of whack. I mean, my Digimon is now level 49. In his 4th evolution, he's basically one-shot everything he's ever tried to fight, and the levels of the Digimon he does try to fight have no bearing on their appearance or difficulty. It's like it's all just made up and the numbers mean literally nothing in this world. So I took out the 5 Sunumon and I realized you could actually pick up some of the items that these guys drop, which prompted me to look into my inventory for the first time since the tutorial. It was surprisingly, or not surprisingly, almost already full. I realized I had a necklace I could equip. I tried to put on those wings, but apparently I needed a level 65 Digimon in order to do so. And I found 20 inventory expansion items. Nice. Well, it would have been nice if you didn't have to use them one at a time and they also had a cooldown. Not having a use all button in this scenario is downright criminal. Anyway, I found a few more items, some earrings, lots of temporary boost to damage or experience. I had an adventurer's gift box, which actually rewarded me with some new pants and a shirt. So at this point, I was looking pretty good. I'm pretty sure Rick actually gave me the shirt, as the DM probably stands for Dino Mom. I spent about 2 minutes using the rest of my inventory expansions and finally went to turn in the quest, which got Rick to level 50. Now, at this point, I started a chain of quests which would have me traveling throughout the Silver Lake area, meeting many different NPCs, all of which had Kill X quests. Defeating more little cute jumping guys in the forest. Upamon, Sunamon, Palmon, Dokunemon, Koromon, Numon, you name it Mon, and I probably did a Kill X quest for that Mon. But eventually I happened upon a quest to defeat Patamons. And there was seemingly another higher level player who was, I guess, farming these guys. He moved faster than me, his Digimon attacked faster, and every single time one would spawn, he would get to it first. I was slightly annoyed, like, bro, I have a quest where I just need to get a single item to drop from one of these guys. But honestly, I didn't have a chance. This other player was just too fast and too powerful. After a few moments of this, I had a bit of a realization. This isn't actually a real player who was griefing me. It's almost undoubtedly a bot. His movement is insanely erratic, and the second that one of these Patamon would respawn, he would already be attacking it. I have no clue what the benefit of botting an extremely low level or seemingly easy mob like Patamons would be. I highly doubt they have any insanely valuable drops, so maybe the bot is just grinding for XP. But it was interesting nonetheless. Eventually, I did manage to target one and complete the quest, but now thinking back to all of those players and shops that I had seen in the data center previously, I was beginning to wonder how many were legitimate players and how many were bots trying to somehow profit from Digimon Masters. Anyway, I continued on to my next quest, which had me fighting my first sort of boss Digimon. And while this felt more akin to an actual combat scenario from most other MMOs instead of just one-shotting everything, Rick was still able to make quick and easy work of this Kuwagamon. At this point, Rick was level 55, I was level 37, and we were positively flying through progress. After handing in the next quest, I got an achievement for completing 50 quests, which, even if you count every dialogue quest I've done, there's no way I'm anywhere near having done 50 quests. A little while later, while looking in my inventory again, I came across some XP rubies, which would grant experience to my actual trainer. Apparently, every single one of these would give me 8.7 million XP, and I had almost 10 of them. I had no idea where they came from, and after using all of them, and Rick had a very introspective and serious comment reflecting on our time together, but yeah, now I'm level 60. Man, what a sense of accomplishment. To anyone who doesn't know this game, which is most people who play games, you could actually sort of brag about this. Hey, did you know I'm level 60 in Digimon Masters Online? Most people would assume that you've put some time into the game, at least more than the measly 2 hours which I had put in so far. Oh, also, I got a cool new ID card, which would last for 10 days, and it made my character's name appear bigger and frozen. Also, the ground now freezes when I run on it, which is cool, I guess. At some point, I found 2 extremely large Digimon fighting each other. I could actually attack one of them. I couldn't tell if this was 2 players dueling or some sort of event. Rick did basically no damage, and they didn't even look at us. I don't know what's going on, but I'm beginning to stop questioning what I see with this game and instead just go with the flow. Eventually, finally, I was directed into a new area, the Silent Forest, which was basically the exact same area as the last zone, but it was dark out. I did some more questing in the area, but the repetitive nature of kill X after kill X was really beginning to wear me down, and I was feeling kind of bored. Especially because there's no real challenge in anything I had done so far. I had achieved 60 levels for me and my Digimon, but I still felt exactly as powerful as I did when I first spawned into the game at level 1. So I took a break and came back the next day. Upon logging in, it turns out I received a login reward, a newbie's yellow soccer uniform, which would grant a 1000% increase to experience, and a 77% increase to my speed. Which sounds insane. That means if I got 7.6 million experience yesterday, that same quest today would give me 76 million experience. Although I will admit the fast running was pretty satisfying. I continued playing for a very small amount of time, but my drive to keep playing was slowly failing. Nothing about this game feels real. You're given experience and levels for doing nothing, you're constantly inundated with boosts and bonuses and you don't know why. You're basically doing the same quest over and over ad nauseum with no real end goal, no sense of story, no sense of a direction. And ultimately, it feels like if you dreamt about a Digimon MMO. The rules of this world don't make any sense. How is it even possible to create something so disjointed and unclear? I can't imagine the millions of design decisions that went into this game over the years to ultimately come up with a product that is borderline unplayable without a high dose of ADHD medication. So ultimately, I feel much stupider for having played this game. Though I must admit, the absurd rate of leveling and evolution, as well as the imbalance of NPC appearance and levels and difficulty, was massively hilarious to me. While I hope sometime in the future we can see a Digimon MMO that respects the IP and does justice for one of my old favorite shows, this is certainly not it. Before we call it quits, why don't we take a quick peek at the cash shop? Yeah, it's about what you would expect. You can purchase absolutely everything you can think of, from Digimon to characters to cosmetics, XP boosters, damage boosters, a subscription, supplies, and leveling packages. Well, there it is. That's Digimon Masters in 2024, I guess. I want to take this moment to thank everyone who made it to the end of the video. Don't forget a like, a comment, a sub. Those things help a bunch. If you guys really enjoyed the video, consider becoming a channel member. But anyways, I will catch you all in the next one. Later.